Never settle. Those were the last 3 words Evelyn's grandmother whispered before she disappeared without leaving a single trace. No goodbye. No note. No body. Just those 2 words echoing through a family that would spend decades pretending nothing had happened. But nobody knew what "never settle" really meant. Evelyn grew up believing her grandmother had simply walked away. That's what everyone said. Her parents avoided every question. Old family photos vanished. Even her grandmother's name seemed forbidden. Why erase someone completely unless they knew something dangerous? And that's when Evelyn noticed the first crack. Hidden inside an old jewelry box sat a yellowed envelope with only 2 words written across the front. For Evelyn. Inside was a tiny brass key and a message. If you found this, you're already being watched. Who was watching her after all these years? The answer was far more disturbing. At first, Evelyn laughed it off. Someone had to be playing an elaborate prank. Then she noticed the same gray sedan parked outside her apartment 3 mornings in a row. Every time she looked directly at it, it quietly drove away. Coincidence, or something much darker? Before we continue, if mysteries like this keep you guessing until the very end, hit like, subscribe, and share this story with someone who loves unforgettable twists, because this is only the beginning. The brass key didn't fit anything in her apartment. It didn't match her mailbox. It didn't belong to her car. Then an elderly locksmith examined it for only a few seconds before turning pale. I've seen one like this before. What he revealed changed everything. According to the locksmith, the key belonged to a private safety deposit vault from nearly 40 years ago. Most had been emptied. This one hadn't. Why would someone leave a vault untouched for decades? Evelyn couldn't shake the feeling someone expected her to open it. Inside the vault sat only one object. A cassette tape. No money. No jewelry. No legal documents. Just a single recording labeled, "Play alone." Should she listen immediately, or walk away forever? Her choice triggered something nobody expected. The voice crackled through the speaker. It belonged to her grandmother. "If you're hearing this, I failed." Evelyn froze. How could someone who vanished decades earlier sound so calm? Then the recording mentioned a name she'd never heard before. And that name unlocked the first twist. The mysterious name belonged to a respected local judge. According to public records, he'd lived an honorable life. According to the tape, he had destroyed countless lives while hiding behind respectability. Could one recording expose an entire legacy? Things became even stranger. Hours after leaving the bank, Evelyn's apartment had been searched. Nothing valuable was missing. Only the cassette tape. Someone didn't care about money. Someone cared about silence. But Evelyn had already made a backup. That was the mistake they never anticipated. She returned to her childhood home demanding answers. Her father refused. Her mother burst into tears. Finally, her grandfather whispered something he'd hidden for 40 years. She never disappeared. What could he possibly mean? The truth shattered everything Evelyn believed. According to him, Evelyn's grandmother had staged her own disappearance. Not to escape her family. To protect them. Protect them from whom? He refused to say another word before suffering a sudden heart attack. Was it stress? Or had someone frightened him into silence? Everything spiraled from there. At the hospital, a nurse slipped Evelyn a folded note. "You aren't safe." There was no signature. Only one familiar phrase. "Never settle." How did a complete stranger know her family's secret? Someone had been following this story for decades. Evelyn traced the handwriting to an old volunteer registry. One name appeared again and again. A woman who had supposedly died 15 years earlier. Yet recent surveillance showed someone using her identity. Impossible. Unless death itself had become part of the deception. She traveled to an abandoned farmhouse mentioned on the tape. Dust covered everything. Except one chair. Someone had been sitting there recently. On the table rested today's newspaper. who had been expecting her arrival. That's when the second major twist exploded. Footsteps echoed upstairs. Evelyn ran toward the sound. The attic was empty, except for dozens of photographs. Every picture featured Evelyn. Different ages, different cities, different years. Someone had documented her entire life. But who? The answer was deeply personal. Hidden behind the photographs was another recording. "I never stopped watching over you." It was her grandmother's voice again. Alive? Impossible. Or was everyone wrong about what happened decades ago? One phone call would change the investigation forever. An unknown caller gave Evelyn a single address. "If you want the truth, come alone." Should she trust an anonymous voice? Or ignore the only lead she had left? Either decision carried enormous risk. And she chose the dangerous one. The address led to an abandoned train station. Nobody waited on the platform. Then a train arrived that wasn't listed on any schedule. Only one passenger stepped off. He smiled. "I've been waiting for you." But Evelyn had never seen him before. Or had she? The stranger handed her an old photograph. It showed her grandmother, standing beside him, dated just 6 months earlier. How could that be possible? Everyone believed she vanished 40 years ago. Nothing made sense anymore. The man introduced himself as Daniel. He claimed he'd promised to protect Evelyn until the day she found him. Promises like that aren't made lightly. Who was Daniel really? Friend? Or the mastermind behind everything? His next confession stunned her. Daniel admitted he'd helped fake the disappearance. Not for money. Not for revenge. Because powerful people wanted Evelyn's grandmother erased forever. But why? The reason reached far beyond one family. Her grandmother had uncovered financial crimes tied to influential leaders. She collected evidence. Names. Dates. Secret recordings. Instead of exposing them immediately, she vanished. Why wait so long? The final piece was still missing. Daniel revealed there was one final file. Without it, every accusation could be dismissed. With it, everything would collapse. Where had it been hidden? Only Evelyn could find it. The clue pointed toward an abandoned lighthouse. Storm clouds gathered overhead. Inside the tower, someone had already arrived. The door slammed shut behind her. She wasn't alone anymore. And escape suddenly seemed impossible. A masked figure demanded the brass key. Refusal wasn't an option. Yet Evelyn noticed something strange. The figure called her by a childhood nickname. Only family members knew that name. Who stood beneath the mask? The third twist was about to unfold. The mask came off. It was her uncle. The quiet relative everyone trusted. He'd spent years pretending to help while secretly destroying evidence. Why betray his own family? His explanation left Evelyn speechless. He insisted he'd been protecting everyone. The truth destroys people. Was he lying? Or had he witnessed something even worse? Before Evelyn could answer, sirens echoed outside. Everything accelerated. Police stormed the lighthouse. Her uncle fled through a hidden tunnel. He escaped, but not before dropping a small notebook. Inside were coordinates, leading somewhere no one had searched before. The coordinates led to an isolated cabin deep in the woods. Dust coated the windows. Inside, someone had been living there recently. A cup of coffee still felt warm. Who had just left? Evelyn was seconds behind. She discovered walls covered with newspaper clippings. Every article centered on corruption. Every article included handwritten notes. One sentence stood out. Truth survives longer than fear. The handwriting matched her grandmother's. Could she truly still be alive? One final discovery answered that question. Behind a loose floorboard rested a recent passport. The photo showed her grandmother. Older. Alive. Traveling under another name. The impossible had become reality. But where was she now? Only one clue remained. A train ticket. Tomorrow's date. One destination. Evelyn raced toward the station before sunrise. Would she finally meet the woman everyone believed was gone forever? Or was someone setting the ultimate trap? She had no choice. Passengers boarded. Minutes passed. Then an elderly woman entered wearing dark sunglasses. She looked directly at Evelyn. Without smiling, she whispered two familiar words. Never settle. Everything stopped. Evelyn knew instantly. It was her grandmother. Alive after 4 decades. Every sacrifice, every secret, every disappearance had been leading to this impossible reunion. But their conversation lasted only seconds. Because danger had followed them. Her grandmother revealed the final truth. The evidence had never been about revenge. It was insurance. As long as it remained hidden, everyone stayed alive. The moment it became public, powerful enemies would strike. What should Evelyn do? The decision belonged only to her. She could expose everything, or protect the people she loved. Justice, or survival. How do you choose when every path carries heartbreak? Evelyn finally understood why her grandmother disappeared. Yet one final shock remained. Her grandmother handed her a sealed envelope. This one is for your daughter. Evelyn didn't have children. Not yet. How could her grandmother know? Was it hope? Prediction? Or knowledge no one else possessed? The mystery refused to end. As the train disappeared into the distance, Evelyn stood alone holding generations of hidden truth. She had found the answers she'd chased her entire life. Yet every answer created another question. Could any family survive secrets this enormous? The ending was only another beginning. Months later, Evelyn finally opened the last envelope. Inside rested a single photograph. On the back, one handwritten sentence appeared. You're only seeing the first chapter. Who wrote it? Who was watching now? And what hidden story was still waiting to be uncovered? That mystery has only just begun.